Greetings and welcome to the Pit Stop. I'm your host, Patrick Ronan, and today I'm joined by President and CEO of Jade Global, Karan Yaramada. Karan, thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Patrick. Thanks for having me here.
So why don't you give us an introduction to who Jade Global is?
Jade Global is an IT services company. We provide systems integration, implementation, advisory, even software development kind of solutions for mid-size enterprises. For a mid-size enterprise, we are pretty much a one shop to go to, and for all their enterprise software services solutions.
Awesome. So you are the founder, correct?
Yes.
And the company is about 16 years old?
Company is about 16 years old. It's a bootstrap back in 2003. We are around 900 employees today, approaching about 1,000 employees globally.
Yeah. Tell me about those early days, some of the challenges that you had growing the company.
Absolutely. So recently I was talking to somebody, and then I was just remembering some of those challenges that we had. One thing that I said, 0 to 10 million was easier than 10 to 20 million. But 0 to 10 million, relatively easier than scaling the company to 20 million. But 2003 was kind of low in terms of the economy after .com bust. Customers were looking for value, a lot more value than the pre-Y2K.
Yeah.
For the money that they spend. So I think I saw an opportunity to bring the best value to our customers.
So what was it like being a part of Jade Global when the recession hit?
So the first recession that hit since we started the company was in 2008-9, that subprime crisis. As we know, pretty much I don't think there was any company that didn't go through the tough times, and we were no exception. So we were about 400 to 500 employees, I think, roughly around that. In US, we're about 100 plus employees. So one thing that I did, it wasn't the best time for us, any of our employees to be in the job market because nobody was hiring.
Yeah.
So we decided that, at least I, in my mind, thought it's not a good idea to put any of our employees in the job market. So I volunteered to take a pay cut, and then I called in all hands and I asked everybody, hey, it's a tough time. We don't want any of our employees to be in the job market looking for jobs. It's not the best time. So I asked any volunteers to take a pay cut. And, fortunately, a lot of them, anybody who was making more than $100,000, everybody came in and said, I can take 10%, 15, 20%. So we did not have to lay off, not even send even one employee out in the job market.
Yeah.
And good thing is we found work for most of those employees, quickly. Financially, we were about 2008 to 2009, we were down in terms of the revenues. And 2010, we picked up again. But I think that made a lot of difference. So that kind of laid the foundation, for the company culture as well.
Yeah.
Most of those employees that have gone through that phase where we were very employee friendly, we care for our employees. I think most of those employees still with us, a lot of them. That loyalty still goes a long way.
Yeah.
That made a big difference.
Yeah, I think especially at the younger stages in a company, establishing culture is very important. And it definitely comes from the top down. And obviously, being the founder and CEO, you are at the top of the company. So to sort of come, call to all hands and say that you're going to take a pay cut and ask the company, anybody else to volunteer, that really puts you in a vulnerable position where you can now empathize with your employees. So I'm interested, what other sort of things do you guys do at Jade Global to instill a culture with your employees?
Absolutely. So, I'm a believer that culture has to be top driven and lead by example. we can never say someone else to do the things that we don't usually do. So I always preach that it got to be, our business got to be a win-win-win. So it got to be, you got to work for employees, it has to work for the customers, and then it has to work for the company's management. I think those three, if we can take care of those three, then we can really set that moral compass. Because we ultimately, when we hire people, they're making decisions, and then they hire people that they're making decisions. One thing that I always say, that no employee in our company is at mercy of one individual, one manager, because there is a popular saying that people join the company but leave because of the manager.
Yeah.
And we want to make sure that we train the manager, and we want to make sure that they lead with that empathy. It's there are situations always. There are good times, bad times. The customers challenge us sometimes. We go through economic ups and downs, but I think we got to take care of the people. I think we have to give them an opportunity to learn, opportunity to grow. Employees do matter. They're, after all, people. So we kind of foster the family kind of culture.
Yeah.
We want to make sure that everybody's taken care, everybody's heard. Everybody feels that they belong here, and everybody feels that the company cares for them. It doesn't matter whether their issues, the business issues, personal issues. It doesn't matter, because recently I heard from somewhere that when you hire somebody, you get the whole package. You get their problems as well as you get their weakness and strength. You get everything, and you got to deal with it. You cannot selectively say, okay, I want you to work 8 to 5 every day. Forget about everything
and
else.
Remove all your problems.
It's not going to work. It's not going to happen. So we got to accept the person as a whole person, and we got to understand, one day they may be having a bad day, and maybe having family issues, maybe health issues in the family, death. A lot of things happen. We want to make sure that we understand and provide that culture and the environment, work environment, where they don't feel, we don't add additional stress.
Yeah. I think it's definitely important for someone to feel like the company cares about them. The company might be your employer, might be an entity, but to sort of have some compassion from your company, that goes a long way.
Absolutely.
Very cool. So I'm curious, how important as CEO is it to be an innovator of technology?
Absolutely. So the innovation cycles are accelerating in the last few years. We have seen, from the radio to television to the internet.
Desktops to laptops,
Cycles used to be long, but last 20 years, the cycles have been accelerated so much that the cycles are very short. Even if you take the enterprise software, we had, not long ago, we had systems running on a legacy in boxes. And the character mode we went to internet, web-based solutions. And then more networking, network computing, to now software as a service and the cloud, and now we are talking about AI, ML, and blockchain. Yeah. So the cycles have become faster. So our customers do expect that we lead. We are a thought leader in this. So that means we, as a service provider, we work with a lot of customers. So we want to build that thought leadership. They expect us to be the thought leader, and we also learn from many. And our customers, they're very limited to their own business. Their vision and the view is narrow. But whereas we have 150 customers, and we know, we will quickly learn from these customers, and also we are partner with some of the leading tech companies, like in ISVs, we call it, in software vendors like Microsoft, Oracle, Salesforce, ServiceNow, Boomi. So we partner with them. In fact, we provide some of the feedback that we hear from our customers in the industry. So we bring solutions to our customers that are relevant not only today, but the solutions and services that take them to the next level as well.
Yeah. How do you organize your business internally to be able to bring on the new bandwidth of adopting these new technologies, these new products, these solutions offerings? How do you set up your company so you can easily adopt it and offer it to a customer?
Absolutely, great question. So, a few things that we have done really, sets us up for success in terms of helping our customers with the latest and the greatest, and then be a thought leader. So one is 2 years ago we set aside some funds and set up our Jade Labs.
Mm-hmm.
So Jade Labs directly reports to me. We have about 30 people working in the labs. They are the best of the breed. They bring in anything, you just name any technology from AI, ML, blockchain. So we keep experimenting. We keep learning and understanding the trends. And we keep finding even the gaps within our service offerings and the solutions. And when we find something, then we put a lot more focus on making that happen, and then scaling it, and then taking to our customers, and then we go and take some of these solutions and then co-develop and co-invent with our customers as well.
Okay.
So that's one. And the other is, so we have a center of excellence.
Mm-hmm.
So every area that we take, we have center of excellence where we are looking at how can we do this better? How can we do this differently? How can we, instead of doing the same thing again and again, can we do this differently to reach better results? Is there a better way to do it? And also connecting the dots is very important because in the mid-size, I would say, of course, the large companies as well, what we have seen the trends, they accept more today in adopting the latest technology than 15, 20 years ago, because company used to be very risk averse when it comes to enterprise IT. Mm-hmm. Now today, you can see that CIOs are ready to jump in new technologies, whether it's automation or whether it's artificial intelligence or SaaS, cloud. So there are many CIOs are more, I would say companies are more, have more willingness to experiment and work with the small mid-size partners to bring latest technologies.
What do you think it is about the concept of these CTOs, CIOs that are more willing to adopt a maybe unproven technology, or maybe they don't know the lifetime that this technology will have, to get a competitive advantage versus maybe 10, 15, 20 years ago where they're more apprehensive, kind of wanted to let the early innovators and early adopters figure out what the best option was and then take on the technology? What do you think happened that there's sort of this change, this shift in adoption?
So I think a few things. What we have seen, the large companies that have dominated the enterprise software industry, like Oracle and SAP, they've become so big, it takes a long time for them to innovate or even bring the latest. But whereas if you have seen the Salesforce and the ServiceNows, they pretty much took a lot of market share from these bigger companies. Same thing is happening now. The smaller companies, like in the AI, ML, or in the SaaS cloud, there are smaller companies that are doing better, like Workdays and ServiceNows and NetSuite. I think being smarter, nimble, they can move faster, they can innovate. So I think the CIOs and the companies are seeing that.
More agile solutions for their companies.
More agile. And the other thing is, the software has become business for most companies. So you can do a lot more with the software, right? And especially with the microservices, with the APIs, with the systems being very open, talk to each other very easily. I think that paved the way for CIOs, CTOs to take a little bit more best of breed approach rather than best of class, where many years ago they used to be more best of class. Like they didn't want to deal with integration. They want to make sure that it's integrated, native integration. Now there are integration tools in SaaS and cloud, pretty easy.
Everything's ready out of the box.
Every software gives you the APIs to consume. It's so easy to connect these systems.
So talk to me about the differences in the early days at Jade Global versus now where you're an established company, and having these conversations with these medium-sized enterprise. How do you sell yourself? How do you sell your ideas? And how do you sell the belief in those to these companies?
Right. So strangely, first 10 years of our business, I think most of our business came through the word of mouth references. People move from one company to another, and then they take us with them. So first 10 years, most of our customers we got based on our reputation and the credibility and the relationship. So there's a lot of trust, and that's where I would say now we have to go beyond the word of mouth and referrals. That's when I think really we can prove now more sustainable growth for us. So having reputation that we always work in the best interest of our customer, and also we bring a lot of value. We are not asking the customer, "Oh, tell me what I can do for you." Instead of that, we always tell them that you want to achieve that. Here are the options, and we have seen these working in the other places. So I think that thought leadership really helps. And that bundled with our tight partnership with our ISVs and the software vendors, and also we continuously invest in learning. Like I said, the innovation cycles are so fast that we also have to have our employees keep learning new things. So I think some of these really help us position.
Investing in your employees. Yes. Yeah. That's awesome. So Karan, we briefly touched on the fast-paced tech industry and how competitive it can be. How does competition fuel Jade's growth and your approach to your service and product offerings?
Absolutely. So in the last 16 years, what we have seen, in the beginning we used to compete a lot with the niche players, the boutiques. And that was like for a few years. But we always used to differentiate ourselves, being more of not a niche, boutique, one trick phony kind of company, but we always set ourselves for long-term success and the long-term success of our customer too. Everything that we did, in the best interest of the customer. We were never there to just do one project and take their money and then go. So I always used to say, when we deliver something, when a project goes live, that's not the day we celebrate. We celebrate a quarter later when they close the periods and then they report their financials and then they operate their business smoothly, maybe 6 months later, 1 year later. So that's always, helped us the long-term view, long-term success of our customers. And then the way that we built Jade Global and the capabilities and our services is more like customers asking. We started with Oracle systems integrator, but we quickly started developing a lot of the capabilities because our customers started asking us, "Hey, can you do the analytics? Can you do the managed services? Now, can you do the Salesforce?" So I think we built our company very much based on our customers because they liked us and then they trusted us. So they were willing to give us a chance, an opportunity, even though we haven't done that. They were willing to give an opportunity for us to learn and do it for them. So that really helped, and that always differentiates us with when you compare with our competition. And our customer retention rate is very high. Our first customer, as of today, they're still a great customer. So after 16 years, I would say a lot of those customers stay with us for a long time.
That's a great story. I love that. All right, so this is the pit stop. So I do have to ask you, Karan, what drives you?
Wow. So what drives me, I feel like I'm responsible for a group of 1,000 people and their families and, their growth and well-being. I think that always drives me now. But in the beginning of, when I didn't have all these people, living in the valley, I always wanted to create some new value. I always wanted to create a company that is successful, company that cares for their employees. I think that so many times in the last few years, I might have said, I would like to have a great company, smaller in size than big company, but don't stand for anything. And so that's my philosophy. I want to build a great company, and regardless of the size, but we want to stay relevant, helping our customers, our employees feel like it's a family, and that's what drives me.
That's awesome. Well, Karan, thank you very much for joining us. We appreciate it, taking the time out of your busy day. And to the viewers as well, thank you, and stay tuned for the next episode.